past simple versus present perfect. What's the difference? Many English learners struggle with these two tenses, but after this deep dive, you'll never be confused again. And in this lesson, we'll break down when to use the past simple, when to use the present perfect, and common mistakes and how to fix them, and some practical examples to help you speak more naturally. Have you ever said, I have seen him yesterday, or did you ever go to London? If so, don't worry, you're not alone. The difference between the past simple and the present perfect is one of the most common struggles for English learners. So let's get started. So let's talk about the past simple first. We use the past simple to talk about completed actions in the past. And these actions happen at a specific time and they are finished. So an example of that would be, I watched a movie last night. She visited Paris in 2019. Or they finished their homework an hour ago. The signal words that help us know when we need to use the past simple are the time references, the specific time references in the past. So yesterday, last week, last month, last year, in 2010, in 2010, an hour ago, or when I was a child, these all refer to a specific past time. So that means we need to use the past simple. It's a finished action in the past. A common mistake is someone saying, I have seen him yesterday, and I have is the present perfect with seen, with the past participle of see. And we wouldn't say that, we would say, I saw him yesterday. And why do we need to use that? Why do we need to use the past simple? We must use the past simple when yesterday is used in this case because it's a specific time in the past. Yesterday is no longer today. If we talked about today, we could use the present perfect, but yesterday is a finished time in the past. So we use the past simple and not the present perfect. So let's look at the present perfect. The present perfect is, we use this tense for past actions that have a connection to the present. The exact time is not important. Instead, we focus on the experiences, the recent actions or results. So when we talk about life experience, we're still living our life. There's no specific time mentioned. We could say, I have visited Paris 3 times. We're not saying when we did those things. Obviously, they're in the past, but we don't refer to the past. Because if we refer to the past, we would say, I went to Paris, or I visited Paris in 2010, in 2015, in 2020. Whereas in this case, we're talking about how many times in our lives. In our lives, we're still in our life. Our life is not finished. It's still ongoing. So in my life, in my experience, I have been there 3 times, but I'm not saying when. I have visited Paris 3 times. Another example could be, she has just finished her homework. This is when we use a recent action where it's present now. So if you're putting your books away, what have you been doing? I have just finished my homework. So you're just putting your pens away, or it's evident now. Or another example could be when it's a recent action and we have evidence in the present is, I have been for a run. So you come in and maybe you can see someone sweaty. You can also use the present perfect continuous for that. I have been running. So those could be interchangeable in that situation. I have been for a run and I have been running. The present perfect continuous would be used because you're still sweaty and it's a recent action that's happened now. And you have evidence in the present. And I have been for a run, you could say the same because you're coming in the house and you're wearing running gear. Maybe you're not sweating as much, maybe it's not so evident, but you could use that. So it's a recent action we have some evidence for in the present. So it's related to the present. That's why it's called the present perfect. So it hasn't finished. If you think about it on a timeline, you would have some point in the past, we don't know when, up until now. That's the thing with the present perfect. Whereas the past simple, if you had a timeline, the past simple would be, that happened then and that's that. It didn't happen. It's not happening now. It's not still happening. That would be present present perfect continuous perhaps, or present continuous if something's happening now. But yeah, just to give you an idea with the timeline. Another one is they have lived here for 5 years. So it's an action, yes, that started in the past and it continues now. So on the timeline, that would say you started living at this point and 5 years later till now, you're still living there. Signal words for the present perfect are words like ever, never, just, yet, already, for, and since. So when you see these words, you know that there's going to be the present perfect is going to be used. So they're very common with the present perfect. And it's the same with the past simple used words where you have a specific finished time in the past, yesterday, last month, etc. Whereas the present perfect, have you ever been to London? In a question, for example, when you talk about have you ever, you don't say, did you ever go to London? You would say, have you ever been to London? That's a common mistake people make. And with ever, never, just, yet, already, for, and since, you're always going to be using the present perfect. We use the present perfect when we ask about life experiences without referring to a specific time or mentioning a specific time. We use the present perfect. So in questions like, have you ever, that's always the present perfect. So have you ever done this in your life? That's what it's asking you. Have you done this in your life? Have you ever, with that question? So from when you were born up until now, you're still in your life. That's the thing. It's not a finished time. And that's the kind of difference between the present perfect and the past simple. Key differences, let's compare side by side. So past simple, I saw that movie last week. Present perfect, I have seen that movie before. So one is telling us when we saw the film or the movie, and one is telling us that we've seen it, yes, but we're not giving a specific time. So because there's no finished time in the past or no specific time in the past, we're using the present perfect. In our lives, we have seen that film. So from when we were born up until now, at some point, we have seen that film. We might see it again. So whereas the past simple, we saw it at a specific time, it happened in the past, and that's when it happened. Another example could be she finished her work at 5 p.m. It's no longer 5 p.m. This is a finished time, specific time in the past. If it's 6 p.m., she finished her work an hour ago. She finished her work yesterday. She finished her work 2 hours ago, whatever it is. Whereas the present perfect, she has just finished her work. You could say that. She's maybe packing up her things, or she is suddenly moving. She's changing what she's doing. So it's happened, it's evident now, or it's just finished. So it's still related to the present. And I think that's the thing. We don't give a time when she finished. You could technically say she finished her work 5 minutes ago. You could actually say that. And you could say she has just finished her work, and that could have been 5 minutes ago. So they could have the same meaning in the reality of the what's happened, but because of the way we're giving a finished time in the past and one is not a finished time in the past, then we would use the two different tenses. Another one is we went to Spain in 2020, finished time. The time is finished. 2020 is no longer. It's 2025 now. Whereas we have been to Spain many times. We're not saying when we did it. We went maybe in 2020. We went perhaps in 2015. We went perhaps in 2022. Who knows? But the point is, with the present perfect, we don't give a time in the past. We have been to Spain many times. Maybe we've been to Spain more times than 3 times. It doesn't matter. Notice that the past simple focuses on when something happened, while the present perfect focuses on the result or experience rather than the specific time. And that's the big difference. Because it can be confusing for learners of English. Why do we have these two tenses? What is the difference in meaning? When do we use them? This is the thing. The common mistakes people make using the present perfect with specific time. Again, this is a common mistake people make. I have visited my grandmother last week. No, you can't say that. It's last week. Last week is finished. We're now in this week. If we said this week, that would be fine. I have visited my grandmother this week. This week is still going. But I visited my grandmother this week is correct. Mistake number 2 is using past simple for life experiences. So, did you ever eat sushi? This was an example we had. No, you would always use the present perfect. Have you ever eaten sushi? And also another mistake is using the present perfect instead of past simple for finished actions. I have finished my exam 2 hours ago. You can't say that. I finished my exam 2 hours ago. It's a finished time, 2 hours ago. That's finished. That's very specific. So I finished my exam 2 hours ago, not I have finished my exam 2 hours ago. We wouldn't say that. We could say I have finished my exams, or I have finished my exam. That's fine, because we're not giving a specific finished time in the past. So it really is important, not so much the present perfect and the past simple, but it's important what words you're using with them, because if you're giving a specific time in the past, which is finished, you must use the past simple. If you're not giving any specific time, but you're saying you've done this action, you can use the present perfect. So that's a good tip. If you see a specific time, or if you're giving a specific time in the past, just go with the past simple. You know that that's going to go together. Never use the present perfect if you're giving a specific time in the past. That's the top tip, really, for beginners of English. Always remember that. If it's a time in the past, past simple. If there's no time in the past, but you're talking about past action maybe affecting today's result, then it's the present perfect. Can you give me some... Now it's time to test your knowledge. I will give you some more examples as well, but I'm going to ask you to fill in the blanks with either the past simple or the present perfect, and write your answers in the comments, please. So, number 1, I blank. The verb is see this movie last weekend. So, is it I saw or I have seen? Okay. Number 2, she blank never travelled to Japan before. Okay, so never travel. Those are the 2 things you've got to pay attention to in the brackets. What do you think it is? Okay. Number 3 is they blank finish their project an hour ago. Okay, so if verb is finish, are you going to use the past simple or the present perfect? Number 4, have you ever blank try sushi? So the verb is try. Which one are you going to use? Okay, so it's good practice to also formulate the sentences properly. The answers will be in the description below. Another way to remember the present perfect, just as a tip at the end, is it focuses on the result, not the time. So I have finished my homework. The focus is on the result. It's finished. Or she has lost her keys. The keys are still lost now. If I said she lost her keys, it means that now she has them. Whereas if I say she has lost her keys, she still doesn't have them now. And that's a big difference in meaning. They have moved to a new apartment means they now live there. They moved to a new apartment. I'm just telling you about the move. I'm not telling you whether they live there now or not. Another example, the present perfect, where you can use it is I have lived in New York for 5 years. It means I still live there. She has worked here since 2020. She still works here. We have known each other for a long time. We're still friends. It's not finished. Otherwise, I would say with a past simple, if it was finished, I lived in New York for 5 years. I don't live there now. I worked there in 2020. I don't work there now. And we knew each other for a long time. We don't know each other now, because that's a past meaning. So there's no even time reference in that sentence, but the difference in meaning is big. So if I said I knew her for a long time, I don't know her now. Our friendship is ended, or me knowing her or being acquainted with her has ended. Whereas if I have known her for a long time, we still know each other. We're still friends. So there's a big difference in meaning. So it's finished with the past simple and it's no longer true. Another example of more day-to-day, you could say, I have just eaten lunch. Present perfect. Why do we use the present perfect? I'm still full now. It has a result on the present. I ate lunch at 1 p.m. I might be hungry now because now might be 4 p.m. If I use another present perfect example, she has already left the office. She is not there now. So she's already left. That's an interesting one, actually. She's not here now. It's just to say she's not here now because that's a negative. Have you finished the report yet? I'm asking this kind of question with the present perfect because it's important now. I want to know if it's finished now. If you use the past simple, did you write the report? It wouldn't give so much relevance to the present. I suppose if you said, have you written the report yet? You're asking, you want to see the result. If this helped you, please give it a like and subscribe for more English tips every week. And hit the bell notification button to never miss a lesson. Thank you, bye-bye, and see you in the next lesson.